love the channel and find it useful in becoming a happy retiree. Subscribe today. Good morning, Tammy. What's going on? How can I help you?
Yes, I'm getting ready to retire in 3 years, and I want to make sure that I'm maximizing my money. And now I have it in a fixed. I have it in a 401k. I think it's a 301 or 401(b). I don't understand all those, but anyway, I'm a teacher.
Oh, 403B. I like 401(b) 457 plan. Kind of a combined everything. No, it's actually 403B you've got, but okay. So, but is it all, is this TIAA-CREF? Is this what this is, or VALIC?
It's a VALIC.
Got it. And you're in, what's the rate of return in the fixed annuity?
In the fixed, I think it's like 5% something. It's very minimal. But I just got burned in 2008, so I just don't want to jump back into the market full force. And I have a child in college, and I'm the sole supporter of the child.
Okay, so you've got to be careful, obviously, here. You don't want to roll the dice with too much exposure to the stock market. So I guess what is your question then?
My question, I just wanted to make sure that I was doing the right thing, that keeping a larger chunk of that in fixed was better. It's better to do that.
How old are you, Pammy? How many years until you think you will retire? Did you say 3 more years?
Yes, sir. It'll be 3 more years. Uh-huh.
And how old are you?
I am 54.
So you're super young. So that would put you as a super early retiree, not just an early retiree, but I would say that's on the really, really early end. Which means that, and then that's important because you have a really long time horizon.
Right.
And then we've got to factor in your child in college. You remind us again, you're a super early retiree. I mean, you're only 54 and you're thinking about retiring in 3 years?
Well, I was planning on, I have a microbiology degree, and I was planning on doing some hospital work with that degree after I retire from teaching. But I also get, I would get a state retirement and also a county retirement.
So you've got a state retirement, you've got a county retirement,
Right.
You're a microbiologist saving the world, and a teacher, and you put all these things together. Well, here's the other question. Have you been paying into Social Security as well?
Now, my county opted out of Social Security, so that's what I was doing with the tax sheltered annuity. I was paying like the 8% that I would have paid in Social Security into that. It's just a fund.
Good for you. That's awesome. All right. Well, so you don't have social, but you're going to have you have 2 separate pensions.
Right.
Got it. All right. And were you married as well?
I am divorced, so everything's been settled there. He has no right to my pension.
Got it. Well, question: do you have a right to his social a spousal benefit for his Social Security?
Yes, I do.
All right, you do. Now, granted, part of that will be. It sounds like part of that will be offset,
Right.
by what's called the GPO, the government pension offset.
Right.
Which is actually a fairly big offset versus there's another offset called the WEP, the windfall elimination provision, but the GPO goes back to a spousal benefit.
Right.
So it might wipe out a lot of that because I bet you your pensions are pretty significant. So how many years have you been a teacher?
I've been a teacher 27 years.
Oh, so you're going to get to 30 and then okay, that makes a lot of sense then. So you're teacher 27, get 3 more years into TRS, and you're going to have really your full pension, which will be really, really solid, plus the county pension.
Right.
So, I look at it a couple different ways. Now that I have more information about this,
Right.
You could look at this a couple different ways because you have 2 separate pensions and maybe even a little bit of Social Security. You're going to have these 3 separate income streams that'll probably. Do you think that 3 of those 3 together will cover living expenses? I mean, is that enough to live on?
Right. That's not to live on when my daughter is out of college. She wants to go into the medical profession. So that's probably another 3 or 4 more years.
Is she in college yet?
Yes. She's in her senior year.
She's already senior. Okay, got it. So yeah, you work 3 more years full time, and she still needs some support if she's going into med school or anything medical. She's got another. Yeah, you're right. She's got another 3 to 4 really lean years before she makes any money, and you're still working full time. So you'll be able to continue to fund that when she's done. Tammy, then you will be in the position to retire. The other thought here is that I also like the thought of this part-time, even if it's part-time work, if you go into microbiology with your degree.
As a med tech is what I was thinking about. And I also will try just a little bit of Social Security. I worked in it for 8 years before I went into teaching.
But either way, though, it sounds like because you were married for more than 10 years, you have a potential to have some Social Security in that regard, but again, it might be offset by the GPO. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think that as we continue to talk this through, what I'm thinking for you is that if I now go back to the liquid assets, which again, the 403B that you have, that's part of the liquid equation. That's all the supplemental. That's the supplemental piece. So let's say that the pensions add up to the state pension, the county pension, social. Let's say that adds up to $5,000 a month.
Right.
Then if you need 6, you're going to have another $1,000 that gets generated by your savings. What is the savings? You've got your 403B. How much have you put into that? How much is in there now?
Of the 401(b)?
Yes.
It's about $155,000.
And then do you have any other savings beyond that 403B? Any other IRAs?
I've been a sole supporter of my daughter since the divorce. There's no money coming from the dad, and so that's kind of drained my savings.
Got it. Well, but you've done a lot of your own savings through working all these years and contributing to these retirement plans from a pension perspective. So you, to some extent, you've made up for that and then some because of the pensions that you have. So really, you could look at this 2 ways. And the reason I wanted to get the background on this is that it helps me frame how you should potentially invest the money that you do have saved. And I look at this and I say, well, Pammy's got all these different income streams. So you really have retirement buttoned up, if you will, because these are virtually guaranteed pieces. So to some extent, I would say, you don't need to keep the retirement money in something that's only earning you, and when you say 5%, I think that's probably really, really high. It's probably more like 3.
I don't even know. I didn't pay attention.
I mean, those fixed annuities right now are not the fixed options. I don't think they're nearly as high as 5.
I don't know.
Yeah, I could be wrong on that, but if I were to venture a guess, it's probably more like 3.5. Okay. But at least it's something. I would just say that you don't need to be overly conservative there because you have all these other income sources. So I would look at it and go back to my 15-50 stock rule, which is if you've got 15 years or more of a horizon, which you clearly do because you're going to retire it before you're really, let's call it right around 60 or even late 50s, and then you work part-time, then you should have some exposure to the equity market. So I would say that on the fixed side, which is very much like the bond side of the equation, I'd say up to 50%, 50% of your 155,000 could be in the fixed side, but I think the other side needs some stock exposure. Okay. So I would don't be afraid because if I'm looking big picture for you, don't be afraid to have at least half of the investment money exposure to the equity markets. And I'm sure within that plan you've got an S&P 500 option, a large cap growth or value option inside of that. And I think it's very appropriate for you to have exposure to that. I'd say to the tune of somewhere in the 50% range, I think is a very prudent way to approach it. So, Tammy, thank you so much for your call. Fascinating planning question and conversation we've had here this morning. Hi, I'm Wes Moss, and thanks for taking a minute to hear about what's so different about my new book, You Can Retire Sooner Than You Think. So unlike other retirement books, this book will give you a step-by-step guide, whether you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s, to learn from what these successful and happy retirees did to get there. I hope you enjoy the book, but more importantly, I know that it'll help you retire sooner than you think.